Welcome everybody to my channel. My name is Steven. This is Northwest Small Batch Brewing, and this is part one of my full BrewDay video, vanilla cream ale. Well, really it's just vanilla ale. I'm not sure where the cream came in because there's no cream. So we'll just call it vanilla ale. Recipe is going to be in the description. It is long. I promise you that I've gotten better at subsequent BrewDay videos, and they will be about half the length. So when you get to the end of this one, look for a link up in the corner somewhere, and it'll link you to the part two. And I'm not going to ramble on because the video is already too long. So let's roll the intro and get started. Welcome guys and gals. So what you're seeing here is my all-in-one system, the mash and boil. And you also see two pots on the stove. These both have 1 gallon of water, which I will slowly heat up to 170 degrees for my sparging. And I'll do that, of course, part way into the mash. Right now there's nothing in here but water. Sorry about that noise. I've got the water to about 165, so hopefully I'll hit the right mash temp. I normally use a brew in the bag, but it ripped last time and I totally spaced that I forgot to get a new one. I do have a metal one inside this that it comes with. I just find that I can get more efficiency out of it if I put it in a bag and then squeeze the bag at the end. But it is what it is. So, I believe my mash temperature is 158. So I'm going to adjust the temperature on my mash and boil here to 158. And I'm going to start putting in my grain. And then I'll try to give you a quick little look. And we'll see whether or not this bag collapses in on itself or not. Uh, 3 gallons of water in the bucket. I guess it is stretching down there. Just it's a weird look up top, but it is actually working. 3 gallons of water. In case you're wondering, that may sound like not enough. However, I've done a lot of research on these all-in-one systems, and the reality is you get a better efficiency if you mash at a lower temperature. Oh yeah, this bag's not going to work. Alright guys, well, this is a perfect example of I don't ever really edit out stuff, especially mistakes. We will see. I sometimes use 3.5 gallons of water, depending on how much grain. I think this one will be all right though. So this is going to take up a little bit of noise, but I'm going to turn on the pump This is sort of a continuous pump. You could call it a continuous sparge, but reality is, and I don't know if you can see, this is the valve that just turns it open and closed, so you can adjust how fast or slow it comes. And then I'm just going to flip the switch with my big face right in the camera. One of the reasons that you need to do this is because the water is not going to circulate in this big of a deal very well, and so the temperature can vary quite a bit. Your grain is not going to be completely saturated like it should be. You'll get dough balls, all of the bad stuff, right? So the pump is super necessary. I highly recommend, if you don't have an all-in-one system, you consider buying a pump. You can get like an aquarium pump and build one yourself. Homebrew stores, of course, carry that kind of stuff too. But it really makes a huge difference in your efficiency in getting as much sugars out of the grains. Yeah, this is a thick mash, I'm telling you. Let me see if I can get down to the bottom here. Just want to make sure that I've got everything and that I'm not getting any major dry spots, because that would defeat the purpose. Alright. I think we're good. I'll show you here in just a second a little bit of a close-up. Or closer up, anyway, of what I'm dealing with. Let's see if I can do this without making a huge... So, here it is. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'll turn it down. That's going a little too fast. You want just a small layer of water on the top. Otherwise, you'll end up... wrong direction. You'll end up with not enough water in the bottom, and it can cause the bottom to scorch. Just to show you what I got: brewer's edge, mash and boil, and then if I scroll down, you can see that's where the temperature changes and stuff happen, and there's a spigot on it. That's about it. Works pretty well for me, especially for small spaces. Alright, we'll let this go about partway through. Maybe this is a 75-minute mash. I'll go hit the timer. About half an hour left in it. I'll start heating up my sparge water. There's nothing else to do with this except you just have to stir it, I don't know, every 10 minutes or so. I like to stir it and make sure that I'm not moving the water through the pump too quickly, because I don't want the water to end. But right now it looks good. So I'll see you in about an hour when I'm ready to pull the grain out, let it drain, and then sparge. Alright, so we're back. It's been an hour. Actually, it's been 75 minutes that it's been mashing. And now we need to let the mash drain. We also need to sparge. So we're going to turn the pump off at this point. So we'll turn the pump off. And I have a little trick. So what I like to do is put it in this plastic bag so it doesn't drip everywhere. And I can just move it off to the side and it's done. So now, before I even think about heating the water up, I'm going to lift this out and up. This is the brew in the basket. And, you know, I might put on a second glove here. These can be deceivingly heavy because you've added a lot of water. And if you've ever used one of these mash and boils, you've got to be also very careful about making sure it sets nice and secure. So I guess I can move, just show you real quick. I mean, you can kind of guess what it's doing, but as you can see, it's just draining the water out down into the kettle itself, which will eventually start to heat up for boiling. In the meantime, let me see if I can raise this up a little bit. Let's check the temperature here. These should be about ready. I'm going to turn them off. I think we're good. They're pretty close to 170 degrees if they haven't already hit. Just slowly, and I'm going to put this on to help sort of let the water sprinkle over. This is, if you've watched my previous videos, this is how I sparge. And I'll take a little ladle of hot water and just sort of pour it in. So obviously I'm not going to videotape this entire process because this takes a while. Alright, so I've got the wort here at a boil. So it's definitely time to remove the grain. I have a little bucket that it just sets in quite easily. And I can just let it sit there and drain and do its thing, and it's out of my way. So let me adjust a little bit here the camera. So that's done. Now we need to put in the hops because we're going to start the boil. Here's the thing about these hops. I have, by the way, this is called a hop spider. Cascade hops, very common hop. And I'm just going to put them into the hop spider. Boom, done. I'm going to set the timer on my phone so that it will remind me. Let's see, that's for a full hour, so 20 minutes left would be 40. So we're going to set this timer for 40 minutes. And we're off to the races. So in 40 minutes, I'll be back and I'll add the next ½ ounce of Cascade hops. Otherwise, I'm going to turn the fans on. By the way, that's a huge hint, guys. If you are brewing indoors, turn as many fans on and open as many windows because you will end up with a layer of sticky nastiness all over your wall and ceiling. So I'm going to start that up again and be back for the next edition. Alright guys, we just hit 40 minutes into the boil, and as you can see, in case you're curious, it doesn't have to be like a crazy rapid boil. Just a nice slow boil is fine. You're basically boiling off all the proteins and stuff. What's interesting too, oh, and also make sure that you boil it with the lid off. If I recall, there's a compound called diacetyl that will not boil out of your beer and it will create off flavors. So, all right, that was a total offshoot there, but here we go. So next ½ ounce of Cascade hops going into the hop spider. Boom, in. All right, guys. So last 5-minute addition. You can't probably, yeah, there we go. This is the Saaz hops going in, ½ ounce. Here they are. Let's see if we can get, probably not. The steam is just going to steam up my camera. Sorry about that, guys. All right. All right, guys, so yeah, 1 hour boil is done. I'm gonna untie and pull out this hop spider. So if you squeeze it, you're just gonna get more of that, and that's really just not stuff you really want. All right, I can actually leave that there for a moment, and we're gonna do the next step, which is, so I jumped ahead there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this hop spider out, so it's not in the way, and we're done with it anyway. Yeah, we'll just put that in the sink. Okay, so I've got this honey. It's about half a cup, I think. I'll put the recipe, of course, in the description, but it's like, I want to say 3/4 of a pound. And we'll put metric as well in there. We'll put the whole recipe in all that. Anyway, this is some of my favorite honey, too. It's a local honey that has pollen that's, you know, from the area, which is why I'm putting it in at the end. Now, the interesting thing is, sorry about the scraping here. The interesting thing is that it didn't say in the recipe when to add the honey. Generally speaking, when I'm making beer, if there's honey that's called for, I will add it at flame out. Now, obviously, I don't have a flame. It's all electric in this system, but I'll add it after I turn off the heat. Honey loses a lot of its beneficial properties if it's boiled. That being said, there are some meads that are made with boiled, well, heated honey. Let's heat it up. But we're not making a mead. Alright. I think that's pretty well mixed. Remember, this is pretty hot work, so I think that we can safely say... Alright, so we're going to try this again. Now that it's mixed up too, I should get an even better reading. Again, I'm going to let it cool for just a moment. So I'm not putting scalding hot wort. Give it half a chance here. Whoop, and I just dropped my spoon. See, mistakes, man, they happen. Let's get this reading first. Let's see, 1092? I'm going to say 1093. 1093. That's what we're going to call it. All right. So, by the way, let me fish that spoon out. Yes. Nice. All right. So, I have a measuring stick. Now this I am going to sanitize. I'm off screen. I realize you can't see me, but I'm going to sanitize. By the way, this is what it is. It's a metal bar, metal ruler that I've measured with my particular tank. I know that if I put this all the way in, it's going to tell me about how many gallons I have. And I can look and see, well, it's even less than I thought. So there's the 3. Wow, I'm going to call that 3. It's a little over, but just barely. That's fascinating that I ended up with just 3 gallons. But there you go. So, 3 gallons, and I've got my gravity. Now I'm going to take you to Brewer's Friend. They have a website and a calculator where you can put in that's 3 gallons and what that gravity is. And then we'll put in our desired gravity, and it will tell me how much more water I need to add to get to that point. I'm hoping for about 2 gallons, but we will see when we find out. Hey everybody, so apologize for the air conditioner if you can hear that in the background, but it is a huge heat wave here, and I even waited till after 9 o'clock at night, and it is still 90 degrees, and I only have one room with an air conditioner, so apologies. I'm here on a Brewer's Friend website. I will put this in the comments, of course. This is the boil-off gravity calculator. What you do with this is you come in here. It's real simple. And you start with putting in your current wort volume. So after you finish the boil, you take a measurement, which you saw me do. And I had roughly 3 gallons, right? 3.0. 3 gallons. I'll change it for you. I'll try to put in metric afterwards here. And then I took a gravity reading. You saw me do that with the refractometer. Gravity reading was 1093, right? The desired gravity. So in the recipe, it'll tell you based on the grain and everything you're putting in what you should expect to get gravity-wise if you have the full volume. And we're looking for an original gravity of 1051. So there's my numbers I put in. And you'll notice that it says the difference 2.47, and we're in gallons, by the way. So, oh, I'm sorry. You know, also it looks like I don't have to convert here. So it's whatever number you put in could be gallons, liters, quarts. It looks like it's just all in there. So the difference here is what I need to enter in, almost 2.5 gallons of extra water, basically to dilute what I have. Which makes sense. If I have 3 gallons and I add 2.5, I end with 5.5 gallons, which is exactly what I wanted. Unfortunately, what you're going to see is that I only pre-froze 2 gallons worth of water to top off with. So I should have started the whole thing with 3.5 gallons in my mash instead of 3, and then I would have been fine. So I decided to not do an extra half gallon, because I would have had to just use, you know, like temperature, like room temperature water to top that off. So I decided just to go with 2 gallons. It's not a mistake so much, but what that means is that my ABV is going to be much higher than expected because it's not going to be as diluted as it should have been. By the way, I hope this made sense. This is how I figure out how to hit my gravity number. I basically brew my beer more concentrated, so I do a much less liquid in my mash. In this case, I started with 3 gallons, and I only added 2 gallons of sparge water. So by doing that and making a more concentrated wort, I can then use this calculator to figure out how much water I need to add to bring it up to the gravity I want. And that way, if I'm off by my efficiency a little bit, I may have a little less, you know, final volume that I wanted, but I'm hitting the right numbers. Second thing, if you just want to see curiosity-wise, so gravity, ABV, what will that mean? I was expecting a volume of 5.02% ABV, but if we take an original gravity of, gosh, did I find out what, did I write down? Well, yeah, original gravity after I diluted it was 1078. We can expect the final gravity to be around 1013. That's an estimate. So there you go. If it does ferment out to 1013 final gravity, that means my ABV is going to be around 8.5%. You know what? It's a little high. I didn't want it quite that high, but I'm okay with that. I think it's actually going to be just fine. So I'm really excited about this beer. As long as the heat wave doesn't destroy it, I'm hoping it will be okay. It's actually sitting right next to me, even though technically you haven't seen me do it yet. I'm doing this video close to last, which means through editing, I actually already have the beer in the fermenter, and it's already had several days of vigorous bubbling, and now it's just very slowly gurgling. Trying to keep it in my air-conditioned bedroom as much as possible, and fingers crossed, because this really looks like it's going to be a good one. Alright guys, that's it on how to hit your gravity number, and that's the calculator I used to figure out how much water do I need to add to my boiled wort to get it to the gravity, the original gravity that I want to start with. I hope that helps. Hey everybody, thanks for making it through part 1. If you made it this far, congratulations. You made it halfway. And if you click the link in one of the corners, it should take you to part 2. See you there.